Hey there, welcome to the sermon preview for this week. Outside enjoying this incredible day that we've been blessed with. Temperatures are a little high, but it's feeling great with a nice breeze behind me. For those of you that don't know, we are entering into a new series this week. We just finished up a 2-week mini-series called Oldies But Goodies. Dennis Berkey brought 2 great messages on 1 Corinthians 13 and Psalm 23. Just a great reminder of no matter how familiar the passage is, there's still great things that we can get from those verses. So this week we're going to enter into a new series. The name of this series is called Jesus-Shaped Testament. Jesus-Shaped Testament. Now that might be a little bit of a strange name for a series, but let me explain a little bit. So within the Bible, we have the Old Testament and we have the New Testament. Obviously, Jesus is present, he's central, he's key to the New Testament. But also, Jesus is central and key and present to the Old Testament. One truth that we can rely on is that if Jesus is not the center of all of Scripture, then we're kind of missing the point. If we read Scripture and we don't see that Jesus is being pointed to by all of Scripture, then we're kind of missing the point. And so what we're going to do over the next 4 weeks, we're going to ride this out for the rest of the month of July for 4 weeks. We're going to take a look at some Old Testament passages and see how these passages point towards Jesus. Now you might be thinking, okay, great, we're going to take 4 weeks and we're going to look at different prophecies that point towards Jesus. Now, we might do a little bit of that, but that's not going to be the main focus. Because when we look at the Old Testament, there are 3 different ways that the Old Testament points to Jesus. The first is through promises or prophecies. The second is through presence. Jesus, the Son of God, the second person of the Trinity, is present throughout the Old Testament. So we'll see promises, we'll see presence, and then we're also going to see patterns. So we're going to see Old Testament people throughout their life events that patterned the way that Jesus was going to live, or the way that he suffered, or the way that he died. Or there's different objects that pattern something about Jesus, or events that pattern something about Jesus. So this may be a totally new concept for you, and that is totally okay. What I would just ask is that you come with an open mind, a willing heart to what God might have to show us about Jesus through the Old Testament. Because I'll come back to it. We have to make sure that Jesus is the center of all of Scripture. Because if he's not the center of all of Scripture, we're missing the point. If you remember, our theme for this year is called He Went First. And not only does this mean that Jesus is our example for everything, right? He went first, he went through all of these things so we can look to him as an example, but it also, in this idea of he went first, is he also went before us, right? And so he has gone before us throughout the Old Testament and the New Testament as well. And so we need to understand where that happens and how we can see it. So for this week, for this first week, we're going to look at Jesus and creation. Jesus and creation. So where was Jesus during creation? How was he involved in creation? And what do we have to learn with Jesus in creation? So we're going to be looking at Genesis chapter 1, the creation account, and we're going to see where is Jesus present in creation. But we're also going to look at John chapter 1, verses 1 through 5. This is a really great passage that gives us understanding of where Jesus was, how he was at work, and what we can learn from that. So really looking forward to this series. It's a different kind of series. It might be totally new or a different concept for you, and that's okay. Come with an open mind, come with an open heart to learn about who Jesus is and how the entire Scriptures point to him, how he is the center of all of it. So looking forward to this Sunday. Hope you are as well. See you there. Take care.